Hello everyone, welcome back. I posted my 7th dose of taking ivermectin a few days ago and it was removed by YouTube. They sent me an email, a message to inform me that I was in breach of their community guidelines, which in fairness I had never read. Now I have read them and I thought it'll be interesting to go over their community guidelines with all of you. You might not have read them either. In the first place, what my video was about was obviously taking, I take ivermectin against the recommendations of the FDA and CDC and all government, NGOs, whatever, okay? The WHO. I'm taking it against those recommendations. Please do not copy me. Go see your doctor, consult with them first. Don't look at websites that promote ivermectin for the current pandemic because it's not been FDA approved for that purpose. Yes, most drugs, in fact about 30% of prescriptions are for off-label usage. Meaning they are prescribed for things that they haven't been FDA approved for. So that is correct. But when it comes to ivermectin, that has not been FDA approved for treatment, for prevention or treatment with regards to the current pandemic. So do not take ivermectin for that off-label use, okay? Yeah, let's take a look a little bit at what their guidelines is, and I'll try and explain as we go along how I was in breach of that, and hopefully this will not be taken down by YouTube because I'm sticking to the guidelines and I am promoting that you all follow the advice of the WHO, the CDC, the FDA, okay? And of course, I mean, ivermectin has had over 3.7 billion, with a B, doses. 19 reported deaths, but those 19 reported deaths were not recorded as due to the medication. It could well have been due to the illness that the medication was taken for. Okay, so over 3.7 billion doses, 19 deaths. It is listed as one of the safest drugs on the planet, one of the safest drugs ever made. Okay, and I'm talking about the human form, not the animal form. However, the FDA released a statement where they titled it, "Stop Taking Horse Medication." Y'all. The American y'all, yeah, to sound like street language. Y'all, stop being silly, stop taking the horse medication, even though we're talking about the human form. But the FDA, they know what they're talking about. So stop taking the horse version, okay? The FDA carried on to say that it's dangerous. Even though it's one of the safest drugs in the world, it's dangerous. So consult your doctor. Be sure not to take ivermectin for an off-label use, all right? I am not going to promote anything that could be dangerous to you. So in fact, I'm going to be the opposite. I'm going to insist, do not take any drugs that could be in breach of YouTube community guidelines and go against the recommendations of the FDA and the WHO, okay? And certainly, don't look at taking any animal medications, okay? Let's take a look. So the first thing, what this policy means for you. I'm going to be reading, so excuse me, okay? If you're posting content, don't post content on YouTube if it includes any of the following. Treatment misinformation. So these points are all regarding treatment misinformation. Content that encourages the use of home remedies, prayer, or rituals in place of medical treatment, such as consulting a doctor or going to the hospital. So I repeat, go to the doctor, go to the hospital. Do not use home remedies. Certainly don't pray. Okay, next. Content that claims there is a guaranteed cure for COVID. Well, I have never claimed that. Okay, and I'm not too sure that I've ever seen any YouTube videos where they do claim that. Certainly the vaccines, I believe that they don't claim that. The vaccines that work. Content that recommends use of ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine for treatment of COVID-19. So once again, I am not recommending that. There are organizations that do. For example, the American Journal of Therapeutics studied 113 case studies, 73 of which were peer-reviewed. And they found that it is of benefit. Okay? Well, that is outright wrong, because the FDA have stated that it is of no benefit, and the CDC, the FDA recommend that you do not use it for off-label, and it's a horse medication in any case, according to them. So ignore publications such as the American Journal of Therapeutics. Claims that hydroxychloroquine is an effective treatment for COVID-19. Well, I've never used it, so I wouldn't know about that. I'm taking ivermectin for my own personal reasons, because I know how to think and not what to think. And I know as an adult that I am wrong, and I'm doing it anyway. And I am endangering my life using the safest drug on the planet, keeping to the dose of 0.2 milligram per kilo of body weight, which is the dose of ivermectin for its on-label usage, okay, as a deworming in the human form I'm talking about. Categorical claims that ivermectin is an effective treatment for COVID-19. So I'll repeat, it is not at all an effective treatment against C-19. No matter what other case studies, peer-reviewed studies, and the American Journal of Therapeutics claim, I will not promote and I will not claim that ivermectin is effective, either as a prevention or for treatment, which I think is further down in the YouTube community guidelines. So let's take a look some more. Other content that discourages people from consulting a medical profession or seeking medical advice. Like I say, seek medical advice. Okay? There is, if you go to your preferred search engine and you type in FLCCC Alliance, so that's FLCCC Alliance, that will take you to a website under a different name with humongous amounts of misinformation on ivermectin, including, like I say, doctors in the States who will prescribe it for you. So do not go to that website and do not learn from them. Do not take their advice on ivermectin, because ivermectin is not, and I repeat again, is not recommended for the current C-19, and you should only take your information from hospitals and doctors' hacks. Okay, let's take a look at some more. Prevention misinformation. Content that promotes prevention methods that contradict local health authorities or the WHO. Claims that there is a guaranteed prevention method for COVID-19. Well, I personally have never claimed that. Never. I don't believe in guaranteed. Content that recommends the use of ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine for the prevention of COVID-19. So let's delve into that. Okay. If you're getting any information from any YouTube channels or from anywhere regarding prevention methods, and in that content it's promoting ivermectin, okay, that's in contradiction to local health authorities and the WHO, and you should not be consuming that content, and I do not promote that content, which means don't go to your favorite search engine and search for FLCCC Alliance, because in there they recommend a lot of things for prevention, the aid prevention. Don't guarantee prevention. They don't claim to guarantee. They claim using 113 studies, 73 of which were peer-reviewed. I repeat myself, sorry. They claim, not guarantee, that as a prevention it is of some benefit, but that's in contradiction to the WHO. And those claims are therefore unfounded, and you should go to the WHO right now and read up on their prevention recommendations, if they have any. I don't know. Claims that wearing a mask is dangerous or causes negative physical health effects. Another video for another time. Claims that masks do not play a role in preventing the contraction or transmission of C-19. I believe that they do play a role in the prevention. Okay? There are some studies that show that they play a negative role in the prevention, because wearing a mask, if you come into contact and it's on, let's say, on your fingers and you touch the mask, now it's a parasite, like a parasite on your face for many, many hours. Well, those studies and those claims are wrong. Wear your masks, okay? Let's carry on. Claims about COVID-19 vaccinations that contradict expert consensus from local health authorities or the WHO. Okay. I don't know what to say more. I think that's perfect. Okay. Claims that an approved COVID-19 vaccine will cause death, infertility, miscarriage, autism, or contraction of other infectious diseases. You cannot claim that on YouTube. Okay? I'm not claiming that there are deaths due to vaccinations of any type. And I am certainly not claiming that the current vaccines for the C-19 are well over 10-fold more deadly than other vaccines, because that is garbage to claim that. So do not fall for anyone who claims that there are adverse effects to these vaccines. Claims that an approved COVID-19 vaccine will contain substances that are not on the vaccine ingredients list, such as biological matter from fetuses, fetal tissue, fetal cell lines, or animal products. Simian 40 comes to mind. If you don't know what Simian 40, look it up. So don't claim that there is human DNA from fetuses in vaccines, okay? Or any other substances, for example, graphene, nano form of graphene, which are obviously not in the vaccines. And if you claim that, then you're a conspiracy theorist and you have no place in YouTube whatsoever. Claims that an approved COVID-19 vaccine will contain substances or devices meant to track or identify those who have received it. So no, I personally don't believe that. It could be something for future vaccines. I believe that there is technology already out there, but it's certainly not in the existing vaccines, as far as I'm aware, and I wouldn't promote that. Okay. Claims that COVID-19 vaccines will make people who receive them magnetic. Okay. I don't know about that. I've seen stories about that. But kids, what's the Marvel thing where they've got like one guy that's magnetic? What's his name? He can control metals. He wears a hat.
Thor, where he has a hammer?
No, Thor's a different one. Anyway, it won't make you into what's the movie called? Where they're all like they've all evolved to have the guy that's got claws coming out of it.
Wolverine.
Wolverine, yeah. What's the movie called? Avengers or something? Anyway, it won't make you into a Wolverine. Claims that an approved COVID-19 vaccine will alter a person's genetic makeup. Do not claim that. Because the RNA, which is not modified by the vaccine, is not a genetic makeup. Even though it comes from the DNA. I don't know, it sounds like a circle. The RNA copies the DNA, but the RNA is originally made by the DNA, and it's the RNA, but it's not the... So I don't know. So I'm not even going to delve into that, okay? That's anyone who claims that should not be on YouTube, for sure. So I plead to all of you, don't pay any attention to that nonsense. YouTube is correct. Claims that COVID-19, C-19 vaccines do not reduce the risk of contracting C-19. Okay, look, from Israel, and there's many other studies right now that showing that, or claim falsely to show that even vaccination does not prevent contraction and spreading. That is wrong. If you're vaccinated, then it does reduce the risk, obviously. Even if it reduces the risk by 1%, and I give it that for sure. Okay? Vaccine does reduce the risk. I agree. Claims that vaccine cause contraction of COVID-19. I'm not a doctor, so I don't know, but I have never claimed that, personally speaking. Claims that the specific population will require by any entity except a government to take part in vaccine trials or receive the vaccine first. I don't know. That's never even crossed my mind. has some people, obviously. Content that promotes the use of unapproved or homemade COVID-19 vaccines. Who would make a homemade vaccine? Wow. I don't know. Instructions to counterfeit vaccine certificates or offers of sale for such documents. Look, quite frankly, if you're aware of something like that, please message me so I can avoid and I can report anyone who does that. Diagnostic misinformation. Content that promotes diagnostic methods that contradict local health authorities or the WHO. Claims that approved COVID-19 tests are dangerous or cause negative physical health effects. Well, it's something called ethylene oxide. Look it up. Okay? And the British government gave a press release statement about ethylene oxide. Now remember, that's the same people that did promote smoking in the 30s and 40s as being healthy. The same people that promoted asbestos. Oops, we were wrong. No one went to jail. They gave a press release on ethylene oxide and how safe this carcinogenic is. So I recommend you read that. Learn how to read between the lines. There are certain words added that make the entire sentence an opinion. Claims that approved COVID-19 tests cannot diagnose C-19. Actually, from my reading, I agree with YouTube on that. They can diagnose, from what I know, and I would never claim otherwise. However, I heard also that they diagnose flu as C-19, that they can't differentiate. Now, a month ago, the FDA approved a new test that does differentiate, which means previous tests didn't, which might explain why there was no flu in 2020. Transmission misinformation, content that promotes transmission information that contradicts local health authorities or the WHO. Hope my laptop's waterproof. Okay. Content that claims COVID-19 is not caused by a viral infection. Look, for me, personally, I believe that it is a viral infection. Whether it came from bats without having any gain of function in a lab and somehow miraculously evolved 1,000 years in a day and became transmissible to humans, that's a different debate. And I haven't reached that in the YouTube community guidelines yet. Okay? But my personal opinion is it is a viral infection. Okay? It's not, in my opinion, 5G. But I could be wrong. Claims that content that claims C-19 is not contagious. Okay, well, I've never claimed that. I am consuming one second. This as a prevention because I believe that it is infectious. Content that claims that any group or individual has immunity to the virus or cannot transmit the virus. I don't know about that. Content that claims C-19 cannot spread in certain climates or geographies. Well, I mean, there is pretty good evidence that viruses are killed by UV light, the sun. So being outdoors is probably less dangerous than being indoors. But I'm not a doctor, so you know, what would I know? I mean, the fact is that they sell these spray guns. You put Dettol and they spray a mist of disinfectant, such as Dettol. And it's got like UV lights at the front of it. Okay? Which I assume is because UV kills viruses. But stay indoor under aircon. Okay? Social distancing and self-isolation misinformation. Content that disputes the efficacy of local health authorities or the WHO guidance on physical distancing or self-isolation measures to reduce transmission of C-19. Content that denies the existence of C-19. Denial that C-19 exists. I never denied it. I'm still, honestly, unsure, because all YouTube did was say that I'm in breach of their community guidelines. I'm not sure what part of my video was in breach, which obviously leaves me kind of hanging and being careful of every sentence now. But let's carry on. Claims that people have not died or gotten sick from C-19. I've never claimed that. Claims that the virus no longer exists or that the pandemic is over. Well, I've never claimed that. Claims that symptoms, death rates, or contagiousness of C-19 are less severe or equally as severe as the common cold or seasonal flu. I've never claimed that. There is an argument to be made that there was no flu, thanks to the C-19, possibly the tests. But yeah, it's C-19 is real. Okay. Death, it depends how you record it. In the UK, they had anyone who died after a positive test, anyone who died within 28 days after a positive test. So if you fell off a ladder or jumped off a 6th floor balcony and you were within a 28-day period of having tested positive, it went down automatically as a C-19 death statistic. Convenient. Okay. Claims that symptoms of C-19 are never severe. I never claimed that. Examples. Here are some examples of content that's not allowed on YouTube. Denial that C-19 exists. We've gone over that. Claims that people have not died from C-19. Claims that any vaccine is a guaranteed. Claims that any vaccine, this is interesting. Claims that any vaccine is a guaranteed prevention method for C-19. I wonder how many people have claimed that and have had their video removed by YouTube. And again, I don't claim anything is guaranteed. So whilst I agree that the vaccines do have some efficacy, do work to an extent, I would never claim that they are. My wife's done some great cooking. Can we look? Oh my goodness. I don't know if I should show you all. A beef stew. Curry. Korean style, right? It's Korean curry? Japanese. Sorry. Oishi mak. Okay, so let's carry on. Claims that specific treatment or medicine is a guaranteed cure. There's no guaranteed in anything. There's only one guarantee. You're going to die. Okay? Hopefully slowly. Very slowly. And peacefully. Claims that hydroxychloroquine saves people from C-19. Promotion of MMS. Miracle mineral solution for the treatment of C-19. I'm going to have to look into that. Okay, the Dead Sea is a bit of a miracle for any kind of skin and bone ailments. So that's interesting. Claims that certain people have immunity. I believe that people who had C-19 and recovered have, from studies out of Israel, 13 times more immunity, but it's still not guaranteed, than people with the vaccination. So again, I don't believe in full guaranteed immunity no matter what, where it's coming from. But time will tell. Encouraging taking home remedies instead of getting medical treatment when sick. Yeah, look, you get sick, don't try to take home remedies. Don't trust yourself, okay? Seek medical attention. even if you're living in New York, okay, where they put you on respirators and stuff and expand your lungs and increase the chances that you're going to die. It's not guaranteed you will die. Discouraging people from consulting a medical professional if they're sick. Content that claims that holding your breath can be used as a diagnostic test for C-19. I don't know, I've never heard of that. My kid can hold his breath really well. I don't know what that means though. Videos alleging that if you avoid Asian food, you get the C-19. Well, I'm about to eat some Japanese curry beef. So I would never claim that. I've never even heard of that. Videos alleging that setting off fireworks can clean the air. Okay. I mean, if people are claiming that, I don't see what, you know, I personally think bad ideas should be out there and seen for what they are. Videos alleging that C-19 test is the cause of the virus. I've never claimed that. Videos alleging that social distancing and self-isolation are not effective in reducing the spread of the virus. Listen, I think it is effective. Go lock yourself in your room, far away from everyone. Use Grab or Line or whatever delivery in your country for home deliveries to your room. Have a robot that collects from the delivery person and then brings it on a tray to your room. They've got that in new restaurants, okay, where you have no staff and no rapport with any humans. It's just all digital, including the payment. Claims that masks cause lung cancer or brain damage. I'd never claim that. I mean, yes, you're breathing back in the bacteria that you breathe out, okay? And yes, you're putting more bacteria and stuff on it as the day goes on. But to claim that it causes cancer or brain damage, ridiculous. I would never claim that. Nor should you claim that. Claims that C-19 vaccines will kill people who receive it. People die after, but in all honesty, the vaccines in the short term are extremely safe. 10, 15, 20 years from now, we don't know because it's not being tested. So anyone who tells you otherwise, they've got no facts to support their claim. Facts in terms of actual, how do we call it? Practical testing over time. We don't have that. Claims that C-19 vaccines will be used as a means of population reduction. Interesting. There are those, not me, who believe that vaccines increase infertility rates. I guess over time we will see, although the correlation will be denied and I'm sure isn't correlated, but we will see increase of vaccination, increase in potentially might see infertility, but it's caused to other environmental things. And if you claim that it's due to the vaccine, I agree with YouTube, your video should be removed. There is no proof for that. I mean, so far, I'm using YouTube. I agreed to their community guidelines because I'm using YouTube. It's their company. Do I agree? Would I have made the same guidelines? Probably not. But I agree going forward and from this video and going forward. And I think that you should all be aware, you should all read it and not be in breach. Claims that the flu vaccine causes contraction of C-19. I don't know, I've never heard that. Claims that C-19 vaccines are not effective in preventing the spread. I've never claimed that. claims that C-19 vaccine causes contraction of other infectious diseases. Honestly, I've never heard that either. Or makes people more vulnerable to contraction of other infectious diseases. Claims that C-19 vaccines contain a microchip or tracking device. Claims that achieving herd immunity through natural infection is safer than vaccinating the population. So they have revised the definition of herd immunity to exclude natural immunity. So herd immunity, the new definition of herd immunity, if you change the definition to suit the circumstance, then you're never going to be foul of the circumstance. So herd immunity, the meaning, the definition has been changed to herd immunity being from those who are vaccinated and excluding those who have natural immunity. Then yeah, YouTube is 100% correct. And you should not be claiming that herd immunity can be achieved through natural immunity, being people who contracted the C-19 and recovered and now have the T cells that make them 13 times more immune than people that received both doses of any vaccine, including actually, I believe, the booster shot in Israel. Again, I refer you back to Israel. But herd immunity is specifically referring to people that have received vaccination, and therefore natural immunity, I agree with YouTube, does not count. And you cannot gain herd immunity through natural immunity. Okay. Claims that C-19 never causes serious symptoms or hospitalizations. Well, that's the end of my screenshots and therefore the end of my video. I will not be in breach, and I'm sure that this video is not in breach of any YouTube guidelines. I will not contradict the guidelines of YouTube. I will not encourage other people to be foolish as me. Okay, I've got some airheaded ideas that I can somehow improve, reduce the risk of contracting C-19 through minerals, vitamins, metals, zinc, and human form of animal medications. So that's it. I think it's a good read, actually, and I will certainly be aware for my future videos also. I hope you found this video to be informative. I hope if you're looking for what you can do, that you go to the WHO and follow their recommendations and seek advice from your local health authorities. Okay? Thank you very much. Take care. Keep well. Stay safe. Wear your masks.